Round 1. DJ Dance versus the obstacles of life. Fight!
Time right. It's almost time, baby. You ready?
I'm so ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Now, make sure y'all hitting the thumbs up. Make sure y'all comment and let us know where y'all tuning in from. The show Get 'Em to the Metaverse is about to start. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Come on, make some noise. Put some fire emojis in the comment section. It's about to be insane. It's about to be insane. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's go. Yeah. It's called Get 'Em to the Metaverse. You gotta get 'em
to
the Metaverse. That's Joy. That's Joy
y'all.
over there.
Hey, y'all.
It's me. It's
That's
me right
Jacob.
here. It's
Hey.
Get 'Em to the Metaverse. You gotta get 'em
get 'em
to the Metaverse. Let's go.
Hey.
Hold up, man. Let me get my swag on. Hold up. Hey,
Get it.
Hey,
Get it.
Hey, one more time. Look, how you feeling, Joy Rain?
Hey y'all, I am feeling amazing. Welcome everyone to another episode of Get 'Em to the Metaverse. We are so excited for our guest that we have today, and we have so much to talk about as always. So let's go. But how are you feeling, J-Dun?
Oh man, you asking the right questions, cause I'm feeling real good. Yeah, I'm feeling real good. Yeah, cause it's Get 'Em to the Metaverse, and it's
You gotta
Thursday,
get 'em.
and I got me a Hershey kiss of a wife, and I got a dope life. Hey,
Oh my
hey,
gosh,
all right. Hey, look, man, y'all know how we get down. It's Get 'Em to the Metaverse, where our mission is simple: to help to make the excellent and extraordinary metaverse an ordinary part of life, right? So
Yeah.
You got your host, Joy Rain. You got your boy, Jay Dunn. And the audience out there showing love. We got some fam in the building. We got to show some love, too. Game and Drink said, oh, yeah.
Hey there, Game
bro.
and Drinks. Welcome.
Bro, you the most, man, man, thank you, bro. Thank you for showing so much love and always being a comeback guest all the time. Y'all know I'm tuned in, of course.
Yes,
We got
thank
Lisi
you.
in the building saying, yo.
Hi there.
We appreciate you tuning in. Laura in the building with the fire emojis, man. Look, you gotta
Hi,
show
Laura.
love.
Welcome.
You gotta show love. But you ready to get into this? And you know, we got a jam-packed show. And look, the guest we got today. All right, the guest. Listen. All right, I ain't gonna blow no smoke. This is about to be one of the best shows we ever had, man. I ain't blowing no smoke, though. I ain't blowing no smoke. There's no smoke here, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you ready to get into what we like to call breaking news? You ready to get into breaking news, baby?
Yeah, let's go.
Because it's a lot to talk about this week. So, I guess let's go ahead and get straight into breaking news right now, right? So, all right. My issue here. We about to get into some deepness here. And okay. I want to make sure the audience is ready, because the first thing we're going to talk about is a feature that a lot of us have been talking about for a long time. Yes. There is a new mode coming to the Quest 2 platform, the Quest Pro platform, and it's called lying down mode. Now, my brother on the screen right now looking real happy.
Real comfortable.
He like, hey, I don't know what he looking at, y'all. I have no clue what he could be looking at with that look like a Bobo strap or Kiwi strap or Elite strap there, but the idea is that in version 53 PTC, which is a public test channel that you can actually sign up for on your Quest Pro or your Quest 2, there's a new feature called lying down mode. What does it do, Joy? What does it do?
It lets you lie down and be able to interact with people in the metaverse as if you're standing up, but you're actually laying down. And so this is for those people that love to be in VR chat, that likes to lay down in those worlds where you can just drift away and listen to the rain, or those people that are building and you just feel like laying down and you don't feel like sitting straight up. You can just lay down and just
There's
or
even some,
if you just want to lay down, period. Just
I picture this being a great big screen situation, or you know, where and definitely I've seen some people play Beat Saber. They're like, you know, I'm playing Beat Saber lying down. All right, that I don't think this is for gaming. The reason why I say this is because your boy signed up for PTC, and in signing up for PTC, I turned on lying down mode, and my head's a little crooked, y'all. Let me show y'all. Let me show you how my head sits. My head normally sits like this when I do stuff. When I'm watching TV, I'm like this. I'm like, if y'all ever watch the Forrest Gump movie when they tilt their head like this when they watch the TV, that's me. All right. So I was setting the setting. My head's like this, but of course the Oculus, you hit that Oculus button, it just straightens up, straight up. Yes. But when you turn on lying down mode, it's in beta, y'all. It's early days. You turn on that mode, the floor was
everything's crooked.
The floor was like this. And so even when I would try to recenter it, I could never get it to be leveled. And unfortunately, that caused me to have some very big, I could not, the chunks felt real. So I wasn't feeling really good. So I think it's something that, you know, they got to work on. But if I was lying down watching a movie, I think that's going to be definitely a great application for it.
So you might just have to calibrate it sitting up and then lie down once it's calibrated.
That's what I'm thinking about. So the next thing we want to talk about, wait, before we get that, because we did have one other piece we wanted to talk about with this, was that Wi-Fi 6E, which was promised in the release of the Quest Pro, is finally unlocked in some ways in this new version. So, you know, some exciting times ahead. Now, there's been some rumblings on Reddit that it's kind of break some things. It's not fully loaded, so I don't think it's fully baked in just yet. But we expect this because it's just the public test channel. They're testing it, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and they'll give us a more polished version coming soon, right?
So just proceed with caution.
Proceed, but I love you. I love y'all. Listen to this awesome lady. She telling y'all just proceed with caution. You should be a voice actor. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
but anyway, what we ain't gonna proceed with caution about? Apple ain't proceeding with no caution. They coming, man. There's been some articles dropping today all about testers who've got a chance to get their hands on this device and saying they have been blown away. Now, let's take a second here. A couple of months ago, we were hearing that Tim Cook was basically telling people straight up, I don't care if y'all don't like it or not, we dropping this thing. And some people were saying they just don't see the use case. They just don't get what's really, what's going to be the killer app for it. And now you have reports of people saying, oh my goodness, this thing is blowing people's minds from the last firmware update they did with the device. We haven't seen anything, but they're blown away at the trajectory of what's happening with this Apple device. And also, Apple is really big focused on gaming, which is surprising because Apple is not a gaming company. Fitness, which is not surprising because of Apple Fitness, and as well as sports and watching entertainment. So, what you think about that, Joy?
Well, I'm excited about the other things that they're saying that you'll be able to do in this headset. It's saying, it's speculated that you'll be able to read books in virtual reality,
Ooh,
FaceTime calling, and Apple TV watching, meditation with audio and visual sessions, and snapping photos.
oh
And being
wow,
able, yeah, real life photos, and then syncing it with your iPad and making
man.
those apps that are on your iPad augmented
So
experience. And
what you
I'm
t-
like, what?
wait, because you know we big iPad users in this. You mean to tell me
Absolutely.
you hold on? Let me talk to Tim Cook directly. Okay, Tim. You mean to tell me my iPad is gonna be augmented in 3D in some capacity? And my applications are gonna be working in the 3D space. When I do graphic work, I can just layer and pull stuff together. Man, let me tell you something. If it's
Listen,
on some Minority Report type stuff, I'm here for it. Spatial computing. Our guest today, when the Quest Pro came out, was all about talking about using those words, spatial computing. I believe that's what Apple is targeting this to be. So, Joy, you know we are Apple House.
we
So
are.
you know,
Look at this chat. I know the
I
chat
would,
is blowing up
yeah, say
about,
take my money.
yes, feel the exact same way. I mean,
Listen,
Apple has been pushing this back, and we have talked about it on multiple occasions
so
on
many
this
occasions.
podcast that they're pushing it back. And I'm saying I'm fine with them pushing it back because I know when it comes out, it's going to blow everything out of the water. And plus, you
Yeah,
can't rush perfection.
you better say
So,
that. Yeah, because that's what you tell me every time you get dressed. You can't rush perfection, right?
absolutely.
My love, we got D in the building. Say, hey family, I love y'all and miss you
Hey,
guys.
D.
Hey, coming
Good
back
to
from
see
her,
you.
coming back from her a little vacation and out on these meta streets. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's get to the next topic because we talk about Apple. You know, we can't talk about Apple and then Meta not give us a little taste of something else. So they like, hey, by the way, even though there's some layoffs going on, we've been hearing some sad news about layoffs. We don't want to
Yeah.
ever take for granted that
Trying to
in
take
the
that
in
for
the in
granted.
our space right now in the VR space, it's a lot of movement, a lot of good movement, but there's also a lot of shaking. That's we call it Meta's calling it the year of efficiency. So unfortunately, some people have been losing their jobs, but there has been reports that Meta is doubling down on what is called Metaverse Gaming. Making sure that since the Quest headset has been touted as a gaming headset, making sure that I really believe more so for the Quest 3 and what they're trying to do with that platform going forward with the evolution of Quest 2. They really want
Yeah.
to come out the gate with some fire games. We've been waiting for Grand Theft Auto for about two
For a
years
very
now.
long time.
I
Yeah.
just want to go to jack a car, and I was gonna say something else, but yeah, I just want to jack a car and then get in a car and drive around and be in that place and get on my bicycle and just experience all of that
Not
in
my
there.
bicycle.
Hey man, you look, GTA is a big part of my childhood
Yes.
from PlayStation 2. So that's something when I saw that announcement, they had my heart. Like Meta, you had me at grand, not even death or auto. You know what I'm saying? So last bit of news before we get into our apps of the week is Horizon Worlds. One of is our particular metaverse of choice. Just came out with some news saying that they're opening up to 13 and up. For officially opening up to 13 and up for teens. So that's
Yes.
something really powerful. We already were seeing teens, kids in the metaverse in Horizon Worlds. It was basically the majority of people in there, but now they're officially opening the door. So what are you thinking about that, Joy?
I think that this is going to bring in a whole new wave of people that are looking for a different type of experience that
Yeah.
has been in Horizon Worlds, previously. So it's going to go to gaming, all
Yeah.
that gaming experience. And so I'm just looking forward to see what all the wonderful creators in the platform are going to be creating for this demographic.
Yeah, and that's very powerful. And Lisa said, and again, just remember how Apple changed the mobile game 100%. Listen,
Oh
we let me tell
yes.
y'all something.
We
We are
going back to the
Apple.
Apple.
We are Apple lovers, all right, above all things. Okay, so I followed Steve Jobs. We're going back to the old school, the clear Macs and everything else. Man, I love the Macintosh. Love Joy's been recently kind of baptized in the Mac fire. With getting her a M1 Mac.
M1,
So we have been really just that's what we're producing on. That's what we do a lot of things on. So we love that ecosystem. Can't wait to see what Apple does in this space. But we want competition, guys. That's what we really want. We want competition.
Yeah.
We need
To push
more
it
people.
forward.
Yeah, to push this thing forward. Now
Yeah.
let's get into apps of the week. This is gonna be a funny one. Joy is not your typical gamer, okay? She's gonna choose things that's out the wall, and this is one of our favorite publishers. But this game is just I love the name. What's your app? What's your app of the week?
My app of the week is Cornhole. I have been playing this game like there's no tomorrow. And
Oh,
for me, it's just relaxing. I get these little bean bags, however I want it to be, dressed
Designed,
and
yeah.
whatnot, designed. And I'm just flinging it, throwing it, and having a good old
hitting the
time.
wall, hitting her fan, hitting me. Even though she has her own play space, we did a little date
Yeah.
night on. It was really refreshing. We had a great date night on Saturday, just me and her, no recording, and we went in cornhole, put some what was about 2006 rap on, some Lil Wayne, some Lil Weezy, and just was enjoying.
We had a great time.
Had a great time, and she was whooping my tail.
Because I had been practicing all week, y'all, because I had been playing this game. I don't know why. I've just been playing
Okay.
it
So
so
let
much.
me say this. Let me whisper real quick. If you're going on a VR, if your girl is telling you what game she's going to want to play on VR date night, just know she's probably practicing in that game the entire week, so that she could be proficient in it. But that's what she did. It was a great time, and we really enjoyed all Forever games. Games are just
I love their ecosystem.
phenomenal. So for me, I chose Cookout. Because let me get there we go, Cookout. So Cookout's an older game on the Quest platform, but this is where you kind of have, it's like Cooking Mama, all those types of games where you got to kind of hurry up and get meals prepared in a certain way, certain style. There's different challenges. You got your meta avatars in there, and we got a chance to go in and play with another great VR legend, Alex VR from Beyond Between Realities podcast, as well
shout out
as
to Alex.
some incredible things that he's doing on the other side of VR as well. So we got in there with him and his wife, and had us a good time, and it just reignited my fire for this game. So just shout out to the developers. Resolution Games makes incredible games.
Yes.
It's not a lot of developers out there who don't make pretty great things, in VR. So shout out to Resolution Games for Cookout. And now we just want to get these last two pieces in before we introduce our guests. And this is our new app of the weeks. We normally do one, but we got two this week.
Yes.
There's one that we got to talk about for sure, and it came out last week. But we were doing our our anniversary thing, so we was like, we ain't talking about no games this week. We talking about us. But Breachers, okay,
Yes.
has been making its rounds. I truly believe we finally have a game that can stand the test of time.
Yes.
The alpha that was out on SideQuest that you could side load was already getting rent reviews. People love the graphics, the style. They're on them. They launched straight into the main Quest store. They skipped App Lab. They went straight in. Man, listen, if you even like VR on social media, you've seen an ad from Meta with this game in it. Like,
Yeah.
it's on the Pico, it's on Steam, it's everywhere, and it's phenomenal. We haven't downloaded it yet. I have played the original, the side-loaded one before they came out with this newer version with all the new maps and things like that. But it's giving me Call of Duty vibes. It's giving me Rainbow Six vibes. It's
And
giving
you
me
know how I love some Call
of Duty. See, we got stuck in Call of Duty Mobile on our phones.
Yes.
You can't see us on Call of Duty Mobile.
You can't see us.
You can't see us, all right, on Call of Duty Mobile, okay?
We
Straight
take
up
that
John
for
Cena
real.
style, all right? Like, you can't see us. But I told her, I was like, they got like a version of Kill House, and there's like all this stuff. Like, we got to get in here,
I'm like, okay,
and we
gotta
gonna get in it. So we're super excited about Breaches. So that's a great game. And the Quest platform, VR period, forget platform, needs games like this to win.
Yes.
And then finally on our list is Kill It With Fire. Before we got on the show, Joy was like, "What is this game?"
What is this?
I said, "Picture you are an exterminator that's paid to go into people's homes and get rid of critters and situations, and they're everywhere." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And you get to burn them with fire. You got all these weapons, and she's like, "I will never play this game."
When they said spiders, I'm
yeah.
like, I don't do the spiders thing. And then after you said that you can hear them crawling and stuff, I'm like, oh no, I can't do this.
Listen.
I will wreck everything in this room. I will have to play that outside.
Come on.
Like, seriously.
Listen, I'm one of those things with me is when you really think about all the things that is like, I don't know if I would want to have spiders feeling, and then I don't know if it has haptic. If it has haptic support to where you can feel stuff vibrating as you walk in, I would be kind of lost. Like, oh my goodness, what's going on? You know,
like you'll feel something on your shoulder or your back or something. Oh no. Do it.
So just to check back in with our people in the building, D say I love Cookout. All right. And they said it would be good to build a base for years to come, but I'm old. My goodness, bruh. My goodness. That's why I'm not into VR chat as much. Okay, they having little internal chats. But listen, we've gotten to that part of the show where it's finally time to introduce this special guest. You know what I'm saying? We even have the music vibing a little bit because it's important that we intro him right. This guy is one of the most how can I put this? He's a serial VR. Okay, serial VR personality. His desire to bring not only representation but professionalism into not only the location-based entertainment areas, but also just in how people work and how people see VR content creation. He's done some phenomenal things. We're excited to have him on. He has such a story to share. And so I want everyone in the virtual space to get their virtual hands, their fire emojis ready for the very great and amazing Jose, the VR Tech. What you say, brother?
Yo. Thanks for having me. Honestly, I wasn't nervous, but then you gave me that glowing intro, and I was like, who is he talking about? Who is this serial amazing person? Like, that's not me.
Well, it was me. It was.
Oh my
actually.
Gosh! I knew it.
No, man. But
how? I get it. You were seeing a lot of yourself in me. I get it.
That's it.
That'll take.
You gotta be quick on your feet in this industry. You gotta be quick on your feet, brother. How are you feeling today, man?
Thank you. Oh, dude, I am feeling amazing. I am just so amped, man. Just hearing the news that you guys were talking about earlier, and I love your news segment, by the way. I think it's one of the best overall metaverse related news segments ever. Honestly, an absolute joy listening through. But just so much momentum and movement in the overall VR XR industry, including on my end, right? So I'm just full of optimism. So I'm just, hopefully try to match the energy with you guys today.
Man, we so much appreciate that. But like, as we said before, and as anyone who's been a part of the show knows, that Joy, this is her area where she comes in and starts delivering the questions of questions. She should have been a lawyer, but she's VR personality. So let's go ahead and share it over to Joy. Let's get this thing started.
All right. Well, this is the segment where we get to ask the pertinent questions to our fabulous guests. And so the first question, statement would be to introduce yourself to our people. Like, let people know who you are and tell us more about your Reboot Imagine company.
All right. So first things first, my name is Jose Santiago, also known as Jose the VR Tech. I'm a hardware enthusiast who has kind of pivoted his entire existence towards virtual reality. I started doing help desk career, boring, IT help. I did the Geek Squad. I did the fire dog technician for Circuit City. Pretty much every
Circuit,
single
rest
IT.
in peace, Circuit
Oh,
City.
the poor
Oh
one for
yes.
Circuit City, yeah. But that was kind of where I got my first foray into the retail computer side of it all, which was selling computers at Circuit City, and kind of learning how to sell computers almost taught me that the more you know about a product, right, the easier it is to sell. Fortunately for me, I was a computer nerd, so I
Yeah.
loved knowing everything about computers, processors, and benchmarking, comparing. I was always a huge computer enthusiast. So as I started selling computers, I started realizing I was able to sell the computers that normally wouldn't have the big banking behind it. Back in the day, it would be AMD
Mhm.
or ATI computers, because NVIDIA, which did win at the end of the day, right? Was kind of eating their money up back in the day still, and being able to learn about the differences between processors and capabilities, I was able to actually make sales upon computers that had really lucrative, incentives for you to sell. It's just nobody could sell them very well.
Come on.
And
Mm.
being able to flex and boast up my ranking and being able to sell computers because I knew them kind of almost incentivized me to learn more about computers.
Yeah.
That almost got me, weirdly enough, obsessed with being able to sell cameras. Um, at Circuit City, one of the biggest incentives and bonus attachments was either TVs or cameras. And the TVs were unfortunately restricted to, for lack of a better word, the more privileged type of salesmen, because they were able to connect with a variety of clients. So
Mm.
they, unfortunately, they had, they selected the white salesmen to be the TV salesmen.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never an opportunity that was ever given. So I decided to focus on amplifying my sales skills with cameras. The camera department,
Wow.
nobody really knew how to sell them effectively. The
Wow,
incentives for
man.
bonuses were pretty high. So I started nerding out about cameras. I started learning about, Leica lenses and the differences between, photometers, and just a lot of technologies for visuals that almost got me accidentally obsessed with visual technologies.
Hmm.
That's
That's
around the
awesome.
time the PlayStation Portable was kind of at its hype. Um, DRM was one of the things that people was kind of my focus. Something I actively hated. PlayStation
So,
3
so
was a dominant
were
platform. What's up?
you doing some stuff? Were you taking the PSP games, man,
Yeah,
and getting them
that's
on the? Okay.
that's exactly what I'm getting into. So I was really into, the homebrew scene and hacking, and PlayStation 3, was one of the consoles that were, just inaccessible because of the pricing and the costs. And that kind of inspired me to get into the homebrew development scene, and that spiraled out of control in my enthusiasm as everything I get into. And I started getting into the PSP homebrew scene and got it into, reverse engineering and hacking, and kind of fell into this community where people were experimenting with just a lot of ideas that you could do with micro displays. The PSP screen back in the day, or cell phones components, were considered
Mm-hmm.
micro displays at that time. And people were talking about attaching them together, tethering. There was a tool called P-Sync that essentially allowed two displays of a PlayStation Portable to essentially synchronize in real time
Mm-hmm.
for 3D displays, which was essentially what we consider a first iteration of virtual reality ideas. Um, and that's kind of where you started seeing a lot of conversations happening about screens and LCDs and
Mhm.
overdriving, and you started hearing rumblings about this guy at the Silicon Era forums that was talking about, who turned out to be Palmer Luckey, talking about the original Oculus idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was just a lot of
Yeah.
ideas, and I was very fortunate to be a very active enthusiast, hobbyist, and technology aficionado when all that was happening. So I fell very early on for my love for VR as a backer for the original Oculus.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
you
that,
you
Wow.
you backed the original Oculus, man.
oh
Come on.
yes,
Come
oh
on, man.
yeah.
That's what I'm
I
talking
have
about.
my serial number and everything. I'm very proud of it. Funny
Hey.
enough, I actually, the story how I got that headset was actually, it wasn't not even my own money. I convinced my IT manager at the help desk company I was working on to put in the money for it. I convinced them about the powers of virtual reality. We were a help desk company. We had fortunately a younger minded CEO who loved investing in high end technologies. So we told him, it's like, an RTX Titan and a VR headset will make you one of the most, high end CTOs out here. And that convinced them enough to allow us to make the investment. And
Wow.
yeah, and fortunately he hated the headset. And he was allowed to sell it to me at a cost. So
Wow.
it was almost like a sneaky way of me getting my hands on a VR headset.
So people, there you have it. It's like by any means necessary. Okay.
Yes.
By any means necessary. Okay, so how did we get from Circuit City to
Mhm.
being the CEO of Reboot Imagine, excuse me.
Yeah, little bit after the eventual death of Circuit City, I really focused on growing my expertise in the help desk industry. I worked in a lot of insurance companies, help desk agencies, a lot of a lot of multiple roles. CT assistant to the CTO, president assistant technology officer, just a lot of different roles that gave me a lot of different freedoms and skill sets. But to be quite frank, I was always unhappy.
Mm.
I always found a way to, speaking bluntly, I always had a problem with leadership. And it was never the idea of leadership. It was always the idea of not being able to optimize and be the best in the position that I'm being granted on.
Yeah.
It was almost kind of like a poisoning of the well. Like I loved the chase of getting the job. So as you can tell right now, I can talk for hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah, brother. We know.
We love it.
So I would do amazing in interviews. I would be really good at engaging and captivating my intelligence. But when it came to doing the job, I would start excelling until I hit that, the glass ceiling. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, my enthusiasm, my love for the potentials just came dwindling down, and I would disconnect. Um, with that comes a lot of side effects, right? You end up going from a lot of multiple opportunities. You end up building a resume or a job history that you unfortunately have to always explain
Mm.
why you go from job to
Why?
job.
Yep.
Yes.
That led to around 2018, 2019, where VR started really maturing, and you started seeing I always call the 1.1 update of Steam VR, which allowed
Yeah.
Steam
Mhm.
audio to no longer be mirrored through an additional software component, which actually made the audio really well working on for streaming, and just a lot of cool maturing within the platform. And I remember, doing a lot of side work in an arcade that I was frequently, and I met the owner through repairs of the arcade, who told me that we're thinking about investing in a VR arcade
Okay.
system. And unfortunately, the owner of the arcade didn't really know much about high end technology. He just knew I was a computer tech, and plus I was fixing
Mm.
some of his arcade systems, right? So he was like, "Hey, you mind just taking this meeting with me, and so we can make sure that we're not getting duped into buying some crap." And
Mhm.
that's what I did. I pretended to be an employee of this arcade bar in Miami, and the I ended up asking way more questions than the guy doing the sales knew or expected. And that turned into like an extended call, an additional conversation where the guy went like, "Hey man, I'm the CEO of this company. We're actually a startup. We're actually looking for a tech, and you're asking a lot of technical support questions. Are you looking for a job?" And so
Wow.
Come on, man.
that
I
led
absolutely
into
love
yeah.
how you took advantage of the opportunity presented to you. A lot of
Yes.
people walk away from those situations and they're like, okay, it's nothing. But you took the opportunity and ran with it. And so that is inspiring in itself.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
look, I want to take the advantage right here too because we got a lot of comments just showing love. Got
Oh
JT
man.
Kratos up in here saying, "What's up,
Oh
family?"
man.
Look,
Hey
we got
there.
some parts of Team Infinite Take 3 in the building as well, saying, "Yo, what's good with the fam?"
Hey,
And Lisa
y'all.
said, "Damn, Circuit City."
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, showing my age. I'm not supposed to show my age too much, but yeah, no. Oh man, shout out to Team Infinite, man. But before I get into to all that, but yeah, exactly, Joey. It's I have a saying. I wish I could quote the correct person for it, but it's a quote that sticks to me. It's the paranoid survive. I
Mm.
I am a paranoid person by nature, so I think of every scenario
Mhm.
possible. To be transparent with you, I probably went through this podcast interview 17 times
Come
yesterday.
on.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's how I am. I think of every potential that or result that could be, and that's exactly that. I One of my biggest fears is having that thought in my head. I was like, maybe this is something, and walking away from a life changing opportunity. You know, especially
Yeah.
for people like me. You know, opportunities are a myth, are something that we call miracles. You know what I mean? So
We are
Yeah.
going to get into that, so hold
Mhm,
that thought. But I'm
absolutely.
going to go into that next question of we were talking about Team Infinite, and you're a sponsor of Team Infinite. How did that come about? Why did you decide to sponsor this amazing team?
Oh man, it goes back to the prior story. It's lonely out here, right? You start building yourself up in an industry that you desperately want to get into, like virtual reality. As you start, breaking into the space, making a name of yourself, building the VR tech side of my name, you start realizing that the reason I'm able to brand myself and be different is because I am different. And you start unfortunately realizing the how lonely it is. You start meeting
Yeah.
amazing people in the space, like the thrill seekers and the German rifters and,
Hmm.
gamer tags, and just the name goes on, like, of amazing voices in the XR Nathy, right? Like all of these uh, powerful VR voices, but you start noticing it's like, man, they're all part of a unfortunate similar color palette,
Not
and you
speak
want to
on it.
start and you want to see people that look like you, similar backgrounds,
Come
and
on.
you start, realizing the enthusiasm from regional potential clients or potential adopters, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest reality checks for me when I realized that I couldn't translate, a virtual reality amusement product for entertainment seamlessly into Spanish. I'm a fluent Spanish
Mm.
speaker. And you start realizing, oh man, there's a lot of words that don't translate well and don't make sense. There's no
Yeah.
marketing material, and it was almost like a layering of the reality. You start noticing that it's an accessibility problem, and
Hmm.
if that's not addressed, there is no representation,
Say that.
right? And that's kind of what was almost the seed, right, that grew into Reboot Imagine, which was a desperate attempt for me to see more people like me in the
Come on.
space.
Love it.
I started working with what it meant, what the industry needed, which was adoption, facilitating adoption, which is how do we get people in headsets that look like me. And as I'm building my company out, I see this person, this energy in doing something similar from a side that, to be quite honest, I fear and I respect. That's why I
Yeah.
fear it. And it's content creation.
Come on, man.
It's a side of the industry that is unfortunately exploited. It's
Hmm.
unfortunately not properly financially
I'm about to throw my mic.
seen. And it's I see this
You
person
are
who
on it.
is breaking doors down, who is
Yeah.
making numbers, making waves, being unapologetic about
Yes.
who he is, how he looks, what his name is. And it's almost, not to be cheesy, but it's kind of like seeing your favorite superhero moment, right? That's the moment that
Hmm.
something clicks in your head and you're like, oh, this is, my this is my Superman, right? It's always a
Yeah.
specific moment, right? And being able to see somebody represent that from a perspective that, once again, I fear and I don't want to get into, even though I almost accidentally became a pseudo content creator because I love talking. But it's a different lane, and it should be respected as such. But that's kind of where I saw Tecminju, and I remember talking to him, and I think at the time he only had like 400, 500,000 on TikTok, and I think the conversation after that he already had like 1 million, the one after that
Hmm.
1.1. It's almost one of those people that just inspire you to believe in them, right? And
Yeah.
he came to me about his idea about amplifying his vision, which is essentially creating more people that champion his vision, which is seeing more people like us in the space.
Hmm.
You can't say no to that, right? It's almost impossible, right? Turbo, who you have on the video now, JT, Tech Three,
Plexi.
Plexi. I love
Yes.
Plexi. Their energy. Plexi has,
Love it.
it's funny enough. Somebody, I don't remember who said. I think it was Zim from F Reality who told me that Plexi has the best hair in the VR game, and the more I
Love
think
it.
about it, yeah, like so perfect for VR headsets. It's like,
Yes.
oh man, Inu, they're just all so wonderful, and they champion representation. They champion the efforts, the value. Jeremy, and you, Joy. You both. We have had conversations about the value of seeing people like us in the space, right? So
Yeah,
that,
that
that
goes
that's
into
kind
the
of.
next question that I was actually going to ask you about. What does representation in this space mean to you? And how valuable is it?
Oh man, it's all you have. Weirdly enough, representation is going to become a fickle idea as we start adopting and embracing digital avatars.
Come
Yeah.
on,
The
come on.
reality is that we'll be able to, of course, champion who we look or and how we look like, and we're also going to be able to champion how we want to be perceived and how we want to look.
Hmm.
Unfortunately and fortunately, some of us don't want to carry our skin tone, our melanin into these digital
Talk that
worlds.
talk, bro.
So
Yeah.
we have to now start understanding what representation means, right? It's more
Hmm.
than our skin tone. It's our background, it's our culture, it's our relationships, it's our connections. It's the reason why it's the only and I'm speaking specifically to the black culture, to the brown communities. It's
Yeah.
specifically why networks exist, right? That's why the Black Entertainment Television Network exists, right? It's
Come on.
because we are very close knitted, even though we're such a massive and versatile piece of
People.
humanity, right?
Yeah.
And as we start digitizing ourselves, we need to start really embracing our values, our
Come on.
what makes us our culture. What is culture, right?
Hmm.
And as VR and XR matures, we have to learn how to kind of digitally translate that. And in order to protect that and champion it, is we have to win in numbers. We have to
Mm.
have, and I hate, and hopefully you guys love competition, but we need to see,
Yeah.
millions of get them
Yeah.
to the metaverse, right? And I want to
Yeah.
see a lot of Jose the VR techs, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of voices that look like us, that champion us, that people that will look like somebody will actually would have over on the dinner table,
Correct.
right? It is
Absolutely.
absolutely important that those are the people that we do business with, that we champion ourselves up, that we have to understand how important perception is. That's
Yes.
why I talk to a lot of developers behind the scenes, especially when it comes to customization and XR tools and having the difficult conversations, right?
Come on.
Some
Hmm.
some people don't have our backgrounds. They don't have the privilege of understanding why we see superpower in our melanin, right? And we have to, explain that to them and explain to them, hey, you are having this conversation with me for a reason. That means that there's an industry, an audience that you're trying to cater to. This is the
Right.
reason why you're trying to cater to that industry, because you're aware of that superpower. And
Hmm.
being able to build those relationships, those respects, leading with Team Infinite, right? Team Infinite is truly all across the board a sponsorship. That means that there is actual money being put into their brand, into their
Come
value,
on.
into
Yes.
their messaging, into their website, into their email, right? The Team Infinite website domain, that's a SEO. That's a powerful domain.
Yeah.
We in the tech industry, people that know the value of building companies and knows the power of buying an SEO. Teaminfinite.com is not cheap, right?
Come
So
on,
that's
bro.
what we're
Woo.
doing. We're building those values. We are building relationships, and also at the same time teaching how to build relationships with content creators, right? They have to
Come
pay
on.
the rent, they have to pay bills. I also understand that marketing is unfortunately the one with the biggest impact, and also the one usually with the lowest amount of actual tangible money. The
Mm.
Yeah.
biggest marketing campaigns tend to be relationships. That's why
Mhm.
you see these giant corporations have crazy marketing campaigns, but it happens to be because their CTO also owns 80% of this marketing ad agency, right?
Correct.
So you start kind of almost realizing it's like, wow, there's no money in championing these voices, right? So
Yeah, and that goes into my next question. You are
let's
like in
go.
it,
I'm on
okay?
fire. Let's
I
go.
absolutely love this. So, what is a fan system, and why is it important to market your new fan system with content creators like Team Infinite?
It's the so I'll give you guys a little exclusive. So the original name of the product is actually, and the one that, as you know, is the fan system, is actually a placeholder name. It is I really wanted to get this into the market as soon as possible, but fan stands for Free Agent Network. It is the idea of being a free agent. It's almost the reason what I mentioned earlier, adoption. What stops
Yeah.
adoption into VR or XR? It's knowledge. Usually, you have to find content creators or universities online that teach you how to best approach virtual reality, how to install it, what best practices, what best headsets. And when you start looking at it, content creators, fortunately and unfortunately, have almost had to take the helm in that side of the industry.
Come on.
There is value that these content creators realize, like, wow, it took me this long to learn how to make videos and showcasing the games. They start realizing, oh wait, there's value in other people learning this. That's why they do the videos and the tutorials. But here's the
Yeah.
reality: a content creator isn't wired or designed to champion adoption in the industry. They're there to entertain you. They're there to,
Mhm.
of
Mm.
course, teach you and be knowledgeable, but there must be systems and mechanisms in place, right? We mentioned Circuit City earlier, or even Best Buy today. The reason that these retail stores remain here till this day and haven't been killed by companies like Amazon is because of their technical support components, quality
Absolutely.
assurance. It's the ability to provide value to what you're investing on, which goes to the fan system. The fan system is a computer environment that allows you to adopt XR without the fear of buying products that you don't want, buying software that you don't want, giving
Mm.
your information away to somebody who you don't know what they're doing with that data, right? And
Yeah.
let's think about schools or universities, right? We love HTC is an amazing example. We love their headsets, we love their products,
Mhm.
we love what they do, but they're when you associate their company, you think of China. They're a Chinese,
Very much.
product.
Yeah.
They're designed overseas. So when you start having conversations of pardon me, when you start having conversations about adoption of these technologies, it will be very difficult to convince, a 70-year-old school principal who is
Mhm.
being fed, Fox News and anti-Chinese propaganda
Yeah.
to adopt a Chinese headset into their school environment,
Correct.
right? And
Absolutely.
that breaks adoption conversations, security conversations. I haven't even mentioned Oculus or Meta. There's conversations of trust there that I don't even
Yes.
want to get into, but it's
Come
the
on.
same thing all across the board. So you start realizing the real layers of adoption and how
Yes.
do you create confident adoption, right? It's working with people that don't have a stake in the industry. Team
Mm.
Infinite, that they're there to entertain, that they're there to provide absolute value to themselves in an industry that currently is only in it for itself, right? Which is the
Yeah.
VR industry. And that's kind of the reasoning behind me working with Team Infinite. They represent aggressive energy that they're going to succeed at all costs in this new industry. It reminds me of content creators back in the day when the internet was blowing up. We had websites like newgrounds.com that
Hmm.
pivoted the way to like youtube.com and video shorts. They were animators, right? That's digital
Yeah.
animation and just the blow up explosion in being versatile and being open and being
Yeah.
not beholden by anyone, right? I consider myself a sponsor, not a boss, right? That's how I
Come
am
on.
with everybody at Reboot Imagine too. It's applying
Yeah.
my love language, as I mentioned earlier. I hate being restricted, so I wanted to build a company that almost builds that into a love language business model into adoption
Mm,
in adopting XR. It's a little crazy. I'm not a CEO by trade, but I know family by trade. I know culture by trade. You know what I mean? I'm fortunate to do business with people I consider friends,
come on.
colleagues,
Yeah.
people that I would definitely have at the dinner table, and that's kind of what I continue to plan on doing with Reboot Imagine.
Yeah, man. And we
Well, Jose, we have to let Jay Dunn
Yes,
read these comments
oh
let's
yeah.
do
about
it.
people giving you your flowers right now.
Hundred
You
Oh
percent.
deserve
man.
this.
You
So,
got
yeah.
Jada Creator saying, "Proud of your hard work, Jose, man." Of course, we have the World Empress in the building as well, representing for Team Infinite. Amazing, Jose. Powerful words flowing. You got Lisa
Absolutely.
saying, "Fantastic." That's see that was a key. See, that was the marketing right there. That's the marketing right
Yeah,
there.
that's a
You know,
that's PR. That's her
that's it.
superpower.
Love that.
Fantastic. Community
Fantastic.
building and relationships. And then we also had D saying a little bit earlier, I'm having that problem right now bringing VR into my school. Just talking about adoption, trying to find
Yeah.
those right paths to getting that in there. I love this so much. What you got next, Joy?
All right. So the next one is kind of a doozy. So let's see. It says, what challenges have you had as a person of color in this space?
Oh man. I don't think if I were to answer that in detail, we would never finish this podcast.
Wow.
Um, but I would say this. There is also a superpower with being different, by not having the same upbringing as what you will see as colleagues in people in this space. Um, that's what VR is all about, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people that push forward facing technologies are students of the Apples, of the Microsoft stories, the Google story, right? A lot of people understand the importance of being disruptive. And fortunately for people like me, there hasn't been much disruptive or disruption at all from people that look like me.
Mm,
So there is a fortunate savoring of the world to see leaders like us. That's why we're seeing so much
Yeah.
uplifting of my company, of get them to the metaverse. You guys, I saw you guys in the news, which was just I know it's about me, but I have to take a second to tell you guys, like, that's the reason why adoption is important. We need people that understand what we are actually putting efforts on, right?
yeah.
There is a
Yeah.
reason why you're putting so much production value into talking about the metaverse. And even though it's a word that a lot of investors and people behind the scenes want to push
Correct.
under the rug because they
Yeah.
lost investments, but it's a real word, right?
Yeah.
It champions the evolution of the internet. It champions synergy, and there is no such thing as synergy if we're not on the table, if people like me are not on
Absolutely.
the table, right? So there is a fortunate demand for us on the table. I call it secret. It was funny, that conversation that I had with Jay Dunn about this
Yeah.
a while back. But it's you
The
always
PR
hear
the PR term would be I would say the PR term would be like reparations. Uh,
reparations, right? You always exactly. I
yeah.
call it transparent reparations, right? The
Yeah.
reality is that there is a lot of guilt of people that have hurt people like me, that like you, people that look like us in a lot of ways, shapes, or forms. Some of them, they are aware that they took a promotion from us. Some of them are aware that their grandfathers or their ancestors did a lot of damage to people like us.
Mm,
So there is a energy there that says, "Hey, I want to champion
yeah.
you." Right? So you
Yeah.
got to take every single opportunity. I just said it earlier. I'm a paranoid person. The paranoid survived. So every little opportunity, whether it be a retweet, a share, a like, a follow, a
Yeah.
patronizing conversation,
Come
I
on,
take
man.
it, right? Because those patronizing conversations become into patronizing potentials, and patronizing potentials gives me the opportunity to give opportunities and potentials to somebody else
That's right.
without the patronizing energy, right? That's
Yeah,
what true
and
quality means.
yeah, and also I want to have Jay Dunn explain the reasoning as to why we ask these questions on here
Yes.
to give you, people of color a voice
Yeah.
in this space. So if
We
Jay Dunn
care
would,
we care a lot about, we started the show. It's all about representation for us. If we get into the space, getting things done, what we did with the channel since the beginning, it was my wife coming in the room saying there isn't anyone that looks like us doing this. So why not go out in there and do it? Because there's other people who may be like, well, I don't see me there. That's a big problem, right? You go look at, back in the day, if you was living in the 60s, if you didn't see a person of color as an astronaut, you would assume, well, that's just not an area I can go into. If you don't see professors that look like you, that's teaching with high paid, high value on their life, you wouldn't imagine that that's something I can do. If you weren't seeing lawyers, it's the same thing in the VR space. If
absolutely.
I go look at who's going to be promoted at a company saying we got this new ambassador program, and majority 95% of them is all of a certain type of race, it's kind of like, well, how's this fair? Where is the representation? So we decided, and this is something we say strongly. You mentioned about the production value. I told this to Team Infinite when we had them on, when they graced us with their presence on the show. We have to go twice as hard. We can't have a mistake. It has to be so absolute perfect that you cannot deny. We have to take every type of denial away from someone saying, well, it was okay, I've seen better. It's like, no, I need this to be one of the best podcasts ever to do virtual reality. So we care deeply about representation. This is why me and Joy, and why you, Jose, are doing what we're doing, especially with Team Infinite as well. So appreciate that alley hoop, Joy.
Yes, yes. And so I know we're short on time, but we have two more questions. The next question is, what advice would you give someone wanting to get into the industry of what Reboot Imagine is doing?
Go after knowledge. Go after accessibility. Right now, it's very difficult to really understand what the next generation looks like, what the term, and I'm so excited that you mentioned it earlier, Jadon, spatial computing, right? Apply the cartoons, the comics, the things that make you fall in love with this industry, and use it as a brainstorming tool, right? When you think
Yeah,
of creativity, when you think of imagination, it always tends to portray a future you want to live in and see. So take ideas from there and be like, what can I do to make that reality here? I love, one of my favorite cartoons growing up was a cartoon show called Reboot. It was one of the first CGI
yeah,
animation shows, and it was the concept of being inside the metaverse. They were
correct.
a digital construct, and they were being pulled into scenarios that they would call game grids, and they were taken into into a different world, and they would do the challenges in the world. And when I saw the metaverse happening, when I saw virtual reality, the movie Ready Player One, I started being, how can I be in this space, and what can I do to make it happen? And of course, see people like me in there. So fishing out information. How can I get more people like me? Right now, VR requires technicians, people that I can actually support it behind the scenes. Everybody's focused on creating, but think about the 90s and think about all the cool things that you used to hang out and play with
Yeah.
in the early 90s when the internet started coming out. It was, all these websites died because there was no quality assurance. Nobody was paying attention of the future. Everybody was focused on making products, but nobody was thinking about making these products future proof. That's why
Come on.
Flash
Yeah.
died. And all of a sudden, a website that I mentioned ironically earlier, like Newgrounds, died, and YouTube took over because they were building animations and infrastructure on a platform that had no scalability,
Come on.
right? So start
Yes.
thinking about the future. Start thinking about what people are doing a lot now that you don't think in the future will be very much helpful, and how can you replace it, right? Communication is a really big thing. Representation is a really big thing. Everybody's making physical avatars, but nobody's thinking about, ears and eyes and haptics.
Yes.
And there's a lot of potential. So that's kind of my advice to people that want to get into this industry. It's fix problems. Don't try to rebuild the wheel. Try to either make the wheel better or replace it. Don't
Come
that's the
on.
problem.
Love that.
Everybody's doing the same thing.
Absolutely love that. Love that. Y'all, if you are enjoying this, make sure you putting a thumbs up. I mean, come on. This has been
Come on.
amazing. Like, for real. Jose, I just love it. What you have to say about it, Jay Dunn, before we get into this last question?
This is my thing because people don't realize like there's a wealth of knowledge in Jose. There's a wealth of knowledge in what even having him on the platform today, because we didn't even talk about he's also a part of, right as we were starting to get into the Metaverse podcast, he also was joining one of the longest standing VR podcasts.
Yes.
F Reality Podcast. So we can't like completely
can't.
not talk about just representation on that whole team saying, you know what, I think it's time to freshen this thing up. Let's go a different route. That was a all certain type of people show. And so now having not just the minority of having the person of color, but also having a woman on there as well.
Yes.
It's like, that's incredible. So can you just talk a little bit about just getting that, going through that audition and actually being a part of what is one of the longest and most respected podcasts in VR?
Yes.
Man, first things first, shout out to Zim. Zim was not afraid to step up to that difficult conversation. He knew that the podcast needed a shakeup. Nathi and Mike, who are absolutely amazing on their own and were amazing on the podcast, just had responsibilities that were differing away from the podcast. And they didn't want to just offer a same flavor of the formula. They really wanted to focus on the representation side of evolving the podcast, right? And they talked to me. Fortunately, I was their first idea, and it turned out to be the first best idea. And Adam, who also I believe got the gig also after the first interview. But yeah, man, the idea of being able to pseudo fill in those shoes, even though they'll never will be filled, I like to consider it a different flavor to their Pepsi, right? So they're they're Pepsi, and I'm like Fanta orange. You know what I mean? Like completely
Come on.
off the mark.
He
you know what
went
I mean?
straight. He went straight to the jugular. Fanta
jugular,
orange,
you know what I
baby. You
mean?
know what I'm
That's
saying?
that's
Some
what I do,
Fanta
man.
grapes, some Fanta peach. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I love that, man. And so just shout out to you, because I don't think people really understand. Man, there's been a lot of movement in our space. There has been some shifting. There has been some noise being made, and yes, you can disrupt, but it's even more powerful when you can do it without it looking like you are. You're coming into spaces, making changes, making people see you. With everything we're doing, it's like excellent. So people say, "Oh man, this is dope. Let me check this out." And you don't even realize you're being re-indoctrinated, and showing that, hey, this is not only for our Caucasian brothers. It's not only for a type of people. It's for everybody. The metaverse is literally for everyone. We're trying to make it to where there is no gatekeepers, and that we try to make sure that if they are gatekeepers, there's a little bit of all of us up there to make sure we're letting everyone in. So that's powerful. So Joy, let's get into that last question before we get into Jose's exclusive he want to talk about tonight.
Yes. So the show is called Get 'em to the Metaverse. How do you get people into the Metaverse?
Oh man, subscribe to amazing shows like Get Them to the Metaverse. Honestly,
Come on.
I truly mean it. It's you guys. It's content creators. There is a reason why I am doing my absolute best to bring value into that side of the industry, because you guys are more than just first adopters. You guys are the ones pivoting information, funneling it out from the grasp of platforms that some people, to be honest, don't trust. It's very difficult to get people into trusting, let's say, a Facebook, let alone getting them to make an account for the Oculus.
Come
right?
on.
So you guys are, our foot soldiers. You're the first in the line, the first line of defense into showing, hey, this has value. This is great. It's similar to Team Infinite. Team Infinite has a superpower to not just showcase really powerful and good looking VR, but also it talks to a very specific side of the unconfidence into adopting, right? The people that think, oh, I look
Yeah.
silly in a VR headset.
Come on, bro.
Try to tell somebody like Tecminju that he looks silly in a VR headset.
Not
That guy
gonna
looks like
happen.
super cop. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it just looks rad. It's like it's that there is value in that. There is value in people like us. There is value in making the metaverse look cool and inclusive. There is a channel that I follow on Instagram, and Joey, I know that you're a part of it sometimes. I forgot the name of it, but it's like VR in the morning, but they do like a metaverse show on the news.
Um,
I'm
oh
Meta News, I
gosh.
think they're called.
Meta News. Yeah, Meta
Meta
News.
News, yeah, and just seeing the enjoying the morning, of course, right? These shows
Yeah.
that are championing really good, once again, values. That's how you bring in representation, because these are digital metaverse shows, right? But the
Yeah.
Correct.
culture, the influence, the value, the representation is there. It shines through. It's going to actually be the barometer, the compass between for what's happening right now. There are songs that are emerging
Mhm.
right now, like AI songs, right? There is AI products. There's AI posts, AI videos. In humans, unfortunately for us, we have this compass that we almost know, oh, this was made by a
Come
real
on.
person, put in product and value and
Right.
effort. And now we are going to get really, really good at focusing on the human value of creation. And now
Absolutely.
those who are very, very good at highlighting their melanin, their cultural importance, their relativity in that weird energy. And fortunately, it's like voice acting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a reason why voice actors get paid a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's an evolution of that. That's why it's very important to give praise to people like you guys, because you guys are the candy to the medicine being virtual reality. Um, yeah, follow as much
Oh,
content creators as possible.
thank you so much. That
Come
means
on,
so
man.
much.
Absolutely.
And you know
Oh.
the brother, he know how to lay it on y'all. You know, I tell him he's like me. He got the gift. You know, no, but I know he means every single word of it. And you know, I had Team
Absolutely.
Infinite. You know, we can't praise them enough, man. I had them playing in the background. You talking about Tech, man? Tell this guy he don't look cool, man. All right. All right,
You can't
Impossible.
do
It's
it.
tell him he
impossible.
don't look cool, man. Everybody wants to be Tech, man. Come on.
Mhm.
But the idea of all of this is, and I want to just bring it back because you know we're closing it out, we're ending the show. But the idea is that we are here. You know, the metaverse is not going anywhere. VR is more healthier than it's ever been. You know, there's always this
Yeah.
doomsday every other week. VR's dead, and then the next week, oh, 6 million users of this device. It's
Right.
always proof that there's so much moving in this space. And remember, this is still early days. Even though it might have started
Yeah.
in 2016, 2014, might have had these, they got bought out, then this happened, and then you got all these new headsets coming out. It's still early days. Apple is just entering the fray. You know, it's just the
Yeah.
beginning. And this is going to solidify all the work Meta did. It's going to solidify what Google was doing with Google Glass. It's going to solidify all these things that were mocked. You know, so
Right.
now we're the cool kids. We're the rock stars, you know, and that's going to be the great things. But before we end the show, we not letting Jose leave without talking about some really cool
Yes.
exclusive big news that he decided he wanted to break and talk about on the show today. So, bro, we're gonna give you the floor real quick to talk about that.
All right. So the free agent network, we talked about the why we used that as a placeholder name and why it championed it, right? But the idea was never to make that the final name of our product. It's just we weren't ready to legally talk about the naming, and because we needed to get the product out to market. But the actual naming of our hardware system is the XR computer systems.
Come on,
Um,
man.
yep.
Woo!
Come on,
So
hold
we
on. I gotta
are.
get my sound effect. There we go.
Yep.
Woo!
So Reboot Imagine will be distributing a line of hardware called the Reboot XR computer systems, with starting with the Reboot XR4 and the XR6. So
These sound
the
so cool.
number the numbers pretty much encapsulate the number of stations, right? So XR4 just means 4 XR stations, XR6 means XR 6 stations.
Mm-hmm.
We also have an arcade edition that will be exclusively sold at noxlabs.com. The arcade edition is going to be pretty much one of our computer systems, but it's going to be hyper customizable with arcade entertainment peripherals. So there's going to be a omnidirectional package, a package with haptic feedback vest. There's going to be a package with gun vest, pretty much to offer a lot of entertainment style offerings for people that want to start their own arcade, or for example, as somebody mentioned earlier, they want to get them into schools, right? So this is open XR environments. They're not going to have any shovelware or any dataware that we're taking information. This is true adoption. Think of this as a Windows computer but for the XR, right? And it's going to come with, and this is the value that I wanted to announce on with you guys, is I'm working with Amanda Watson. Amanda Watson is the creator of Oculus AirLink. She is a OG member of the Oculus team. She worked with that she pretty much enabled us to stream onto the Quest 2 from a PCVR perspective.
That
So we're
deserves
actually,
the air horns.
oh yes,
Jason.
please.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, Amanda's an absolute superstar, incredibly smart, and somebody who I really truly believe in. Once again, we're talking about representation, and we sometimes get focused on, our skin tone because it happens to be our major focus right now.
Talk
because
about it.
But also women, right? We tend to forget the secondary messaging approach that women often get, especially in XR. I truly mean that my company wants to champion representation and uplift people, and that comes all across the board, including working with Amanda Watson, right?
Yeah.
This is somebody that I personally feel like it's my responsibility that whenever I mention ever again Amanda Watson, people go like, the creator of Oculus AirLink, the person that did,
Yeah.
I wish I could talk a little bit more details about what we're working on at Reboot Imagine, but you can probably connect the dots. We're working with really cool wireless technology behind the scenes that we're going to unveil soon. Hopefully I'm back on the podcast and talk a little bit more about that. Maybe bring Amanda with me. But that's really the reason why we're working with Amanda. It's much more than just her capability and what she can do, but also the fact that disruptive superstar, right? Every company needs, their Tim Cook, sorry, not Tim Cook, their Wozniak.
Yep.
They're Steve Wozniak, and Oculus had their Palmer Luckey, but Reboot Imagine, has a lot of amazing powers behind it. But we need somebody we believe in and has the capacity to take such a helm. And I really think Amanda's capable of making my vision a reality. So I truly believe in her. We're very excited. She's very confident. It's so cool working. Oh, dude, like. I can talk about Amanda for hours. Like it's one.
That's
of,
another look. That's look. In fact, what's cool? We get to shout out another amazing VR podcast. Gonna be coming out tomorrow, where Amanda's gonna be talking a little bit more about what she's gonna be doing. We're excited about it on Rough Talk VR podcast. So make sure you guys check that out as well. I don't know. I feel like Jose, he figured out a way to kind of make this all happen together. I think it was just some VR magic to kind of have all these things kind of break at the same time, man.
It's funny enough. I wish I could take credit for it, but it really is. That's what happens when you work and you collaborate with amazing people in this space. Opportunities kind of almost happen in the right moment. Like, once again, I'm so grateful for you guys having me on. This is, I'm so, to be honest with you, it was a bucket list. So I'm glad that I finally got to.
Well, I get to tell you, we're ending the show, but I get to tell you this. On our first episode, you were all in the comments with crying emojis. I actually believe you was on a plane watching.
I was.
And I remember this because we had that. I have a very good memory, especially when it comes down to people supporting. And you were just like, this is exactly, what we need as a culture. And you've been in that, just in that pumping it up. So, man, we just want to tell you, we appreciate you, brother, once again for coming on. It was a bucket list for us to have you on.
Thank you so much.
And so we got D. We're just going to check out with the people again in the chat. D said, this is dope, Jose. Awesome. Congrats, Jose, from another great content creator, Sons of Thunder. He's been coming up.
Oh, man.
So, man, show him some love. Definitely follow him on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I know Sons. Oh, yeah. I see his
son,
content.
he's been
Oh,
killing
yeah.
it, man. He's been killing it.
Mhm.
All of this sounds amazing. D said VR voodoo. Lisa said, and let's go VR magic. Listen, man.
Oh, man, real quick, shout out to Lisi too, man.
Yes,
It's really
hi,
cool, right?
Lisi.
Because Lisi Linares, right? That's my PR. Amazing personality behind the scenes, pushing conversations, and also about, we spoke about representation. Unfortunately, there's gonna be people that won't trust or want to talk to people that look like me, and
Come on,
Lisi's
bro.
an amazing Trojan horse, right? Lisi gets to champion my values, and they see this, this person coming in and talking about it, and then they see me, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. So shout out to her for allowing me to break as many doors as possible.
I hope they heard.
Shout
Hold on.
out to Lisi.
Listen, first of all,
What?
the
Yes,
representation that Reboot
Please.
Imagine has been doing to make sure that every area of not just the minority pieces, but every area is covered professionally. The brother say he got a PR team. All right. Like it's not a game, guys. Everything needs to be done in what we love to say in an excellent spirit.
Yeah.
So we just appreciate the care that you've given to this space, the love that you've showed to VR and everything else. Brother, we appreciate you. Anything you want to mention, how people can follow you
Yes.
and connect with you before we let you go?
Oh man, fortunately I talk a lot, so I've managed to carve myself some SEO. So Jose the VR Tech, JoseTheVRTech.com, at Jose the VR Tech on pretty much any social, on Oculus, on yeah, I'm easy to find, man. Just search Jose the VR Tech. I'll respond on any line available. So
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Joy, how can people find you?
Yes, you can follow me at Joy Rain VR on all social media platforms. And again, we thank you so much for tuning in to Get 'em to the Metaverse. Jay Dunn, any last words?
Well, my last words is this. I hope y'all was watching. All right. I hope y'all hitting the like button. I hope y'all subscribe. And not just subscribe to what we're doing, but subscribe to what we are doing. Okay? I hope y'all caught that transition. Not just what we doing, but what we are doing. Make sure you checking out Team Infinite. Make sure you supporting your local content creators. And when I say local, I mean those who look just like you and abroad. Make sure that you keep sharing, keep giving. It doesn't hurt to hit the like button. Hit the like button right now. It doesn't hurt to send some comments in and show some support to others. Because today it might be Jose, tomorrow it may be you. Listen, we appreciate every single one of you for tuning in to another phenomenal week of Get 'em to the Metaverse. Listen, we about to be out of here. But until next time, be fine. And we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Peace.
y'all.
Bye, everybody.